Welcome to this Posh Awareness Training Program. In this course, we will learn how to create a safe, respectful, and comfortable workplace for everyone. POSH stands for Prevention of Sexual Harassment, and this law applies to every single employee, regardless of role, gender, position, or department. During this session, here is what you can expect to learn today. What POSH actually means and why this law was created. The real incidents that led to the POSH Act, including the Vishaka case, a simple explanation of the POSH Act and how it protects employees. Different forms of sexual harassment, including verbal, non-verbal, physical, digital, quid pro quo, and hostile work environment. Case studies to help you understand these situations better. The difference between intent and impact. What to do if you experience or witness harassment. How and where to report a complaint. What the internal committee is, who is part of it, and how it works. The complete complaint handling procedure and timelines. Let's understand why the POSH law was created and what led to its importance in India. Many years ago, workplaces in India did not have any clear rules or support system for employees who experienced sexual harassment. People felt unsafe, confused, and often remained silent because they didn't know whom to approach or how to report the issue. A major turning point came with a very important legal case called the Vishaka case. In this case, a woman faced harassment and violence while doing her job. When she tried to get justice, she realized there were no proper laws to protect her in the workplace. Her struggle reached the Supreme Court, and the court saw that thousands of employees across the country were facing similar problems without any legal protection. The Supreme Court then took a historic decision. It created the first ever guidelines to prevent sexual harassment at work. These guidelines were called the Vishaka Guidelines. They clearly stated what harassment is, how complaints should be handled, and the responsibility of employers to keep workplaces safe. These guidelines later became the foundation of the POSH Act 2013. So the Vishaka case is important because it opened the path for India to create a strong law that protects every employee, regardless of gender or role. Now let's take a simple and clear look at what the POSH Act 2013 actually is. The POSH Act is a special law created by the Government of India to make sure that every workplace becomes safe and free from sexual harassment. It applies to all kinds of workplaces: offices, factories, field work, remote work, client locations, and even official travel or events. The Act makes it very clear that every employee is protected. This includes full-time employees, part-time employees, interns, contractors, consultants, temporary staff, and even visitors who come for meetings or work purposes. The POSH Act puts responsibility on the employer. This means the organization must create awareness, provide training, display the policy, and make sure every employee knows that harassment will not be tolerated. And very important, the Act requires every company with more than 10 employees to create an internal committee, also called IC. This committee is responsible for receiving complaints, conducting fair inquiries, and ensuring justice for the complainant. The POSH Act also explains how complaints must be filed, how inquiries should be conducted, what timelines should be followed, and what actions the company must take after the inquiry. So the POSH Act is not just a document. It is a promise that every person in the organization will be treated with respect and safety. Now let's move to one of the most important parts of this training: understanding what sexual harassment really means. Sexual harassment is any behavior that is unwelcome and sexual in nature. The key word here is unwelcome. If a behavior makes someone uncomfortable, embarrassed, or unsafe, it becomes harassment. Let's break this down in a simple way. Sexual harassment can be verbal, such as inappropriate comments, sexual jokes, repeated flirting, or comments about someone's body or personal life. It can also be nonverbal, like staring, making suggestive gestures, displaying inappropriate images, or constantly invading someone's personal space. Some behavior can be physical, such as unwanted touching, brushing against someone, blocking someone's path. Today, one of the most common forms is digital harassment through messages, images, emojis, memes, or personal chats that make someone uncomfortable. There are also two special categories: quid pro quo, where a person uses their power to demand a favor in exchange for something work-related, and hostile work environment, where repeated inappropriate behavior creates an unsafe or uncomfortable atmosphere for others. Sexual harassment is not just one kind of behavior. It can appear in many forms. 1. Verbal harassment. This includes sexual jokes, comments about someone's appearance or body, unwanted flirting, asking personal or intimate questions, repeated compliments that make someone uneasy. If the words make someone uncomfortable, it becomes verbal harassment. 2. Non-verbal harassment. This happens without speaking. Examples include staring in a suggestive or uncomfortable way, making inappropriate gestures, sending looks or expressions that make someone feel uneasy. 3. Physical harassment. This includes unwanted touching, patting, brushing, or hugging without consent, standing too close, blocking someone's path. Anything that involves forced or unwanted physical contact becomes harassment. 4. Digital or online harassment. Very common today. Examples include sending inappropriate messages, images, reels, or emojis. Late night personal conversations that are uncomfortable. 5. Quid pro quo harassment. This means you do something for me, I will do something for you. For example, a supervisor hinting, if you cooperate with me, I will give you a promotion. This is a clear misuse of power. 6. Hostile work environment. This happens when the overall atmosphere becomes uncomfortable. Examples include regular sexual jokes in group chats, posters, images, or conversations that feel inappropriate. Both quid pro quo and hostile work environment can deeply affect an employee's mental well-being, confidence, and ability to work. That is why understanding these forms helps us prevent them and create a safe, respectful cultures. Now let's look at two simple and realistic case studies. Case study 1. Quid pro quo. Imagine there is an employee named Ria. She recently joined the company and works under a team leader who is responsible for approving her training and project assignments. One day, the team leader tells her, "If you spend some personal time with me outside the office, I will make sure you get good opportunities here." Ria feels shocked and uncomfortable. She knows that refusing might impact her work, but agreeing would go against her values. She feels trapped between her dignity and her career. This is a clear example of quid pro quo harassment, a situation where someone in power demands a personal or sexual favor in exchange for a work benefit. Case study 2. Hostile work environment. Now imagine a team WhatsApp group where a few co-workers regularly send sexual jokes, memes, or inappropriate comments. Some people laugh, some ignore, but one employee, Arjun, feels very uncomfortable. He doesn't want to see such messages and feels awkward joining the group conversations. Even though the jokes are not aimed directly at him, the environment around him becomes uncomfortable and unprofessional. He starts avoiding team discussions and feels stressed. This is a hostile work environment because the repetitive behavior creates discomfort, affects confidence, and makes the workplace feel unsafe. These examples show us that harassment doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's the subtle pressure or the repeated behavior that makes the environment unhealthy. Understanding such situations helps all of us notice red flags early and take action. Now let's talk about something very important in understanding harassment: the difference between intent and impact. In many workplace situations, people say things like, "I didn't mean it that way," "I was only joking," or "I didn't think it would bother you." But under the POSH law, the focus is not on what a person intended. The focus is on how their behavior impacted the other person. Why does this matter at the workplace? Because everyone has different boundaries. Something that feels normal to one person may feel offensive to someone else. We work with people from different backgrounds, cultures, and comfort levels. So sensitivity is important. If you feel safe and confident in the moment, you can say something like, "I am not comfortable with this," or "Please stop. This is inappropriate." Sometimes a clear boundary stops the behavior immediately. But this is optional. If you do not feel safe, you do not have to confront the person. Move away from the situation. If the behavior continues or you feel unsafe, step away from the place, end the call, or stop responding to messages. Protecting yourself is always the priority. Document what happened. This is very important. Make a record of date, time, what happened, any screenshots, messages, emails, names of people present. This will help later if you decide to report it. Talk to someone you trust. This can be a friend, a colleague, or a family member. Sharing helps you think clearly and reduces emotional stress. Report the behavior. If the behavior continues or if it was serious, report it to the internal committee or HR. Reporting helps protect you and may also protect others from facing the same issue. Remember, you never need to feel ashamed, scared, or guilty for asking for help. Harassment is not your fault. And under the POSH law, the organization is required to support and protect you. Now let's talk about a very important question. Where can you complain if you experience or witness harassment? The POSH law makes this very clear. Every organization must have a proper, safe, and confidential complaint system. And you should always know exactly where to go if you ever need help. 1. The Internal Committee, IC. The primary place to complain is the Internal Committee, also called the IC.
The IC is a small group of trained members selected carefully by the company. Their job is to help you if you ever feel uncomfortable, unsafe, or harassed at work. It includes a senior woman employee as the presiding officer, 2 trained internal members, and an external expert who is completely neutral. Think of the IC as a safe and approachable group. If you ever need to talk, they listen without judgment. If something happens and you feel confused, they guide you gently. They speak to both sides, review facts, collect evidence, and ensure the process is fair for everyone involved. And here's the most important part. Everything you share with the IC stays confidential. Your safety, your dignity, and your comfort are always their first priority. When it comes to reporting harassment, many employees hesitate because they are unsure what exactly counts as a complaint. So let me make it simple for you. A complaint can be anything that made you feel uncomfortable, unsafe, or disrespected. It doesn't have to be a big incident. Even a small, repeated behavior that troubles you is enough. There are mainly 2 types of complaints under POSH. The first is a written complaint, where you describe what happened in your own words. It doesn't need fancy language, just be honest and clear. The second is a verbal complaint, where you simply talk to HR or the IC. If you feel nervous about writing, the IC will help you prepare the written version. Your complaint can be about one specific incident, a series of repeated behaviors, a digital message or chat, or even something that happened outside the office but during official work. If something disturbed your peace of mind, it is valid. And remember, a complaint is not about creating trouble. It is about protecting your dignity. When you decide to report a concern, the process may sound formal, but it is actually very simple. You don't need legal knowledge. You don't need complicated words. Just your honest experience. The POSH system uses a few basic forms to keep the process organized and fair. The first is the complaint form, which is simply a written description of what happened. Think of it as telling your story in your own way. Next is the response form, which is given to the person you reported. This isn't to attack anyone, it's simply to hear their side as well. There's also a witness form, used only if someone saw or knows something related to the situation. Witnesses help complete the story. If writing feels difficult or emotional, the IC will guide you gently. Their goal is not to pressure you, but to support you and help you express what you went through clearly and safely. Let's walk through the inquiry process slowly so you understand exactly what happens after a complaint is made. It begins when the IC receives your complaint. They first read it carefully and then inform the respondent, the person you complained about, so the process stays transparent. Next, the IC invites both of you separately for meetings. You get a safe space to explain your experience, and the respondent gets a chance to share their side too. The IC then looks at evidence, such as messages, emails, screenshots, or anything that supports the case. They may also speak to witnesses to understand the full story. Throughout this process, the IC stays neutral. They don't assume anyone is right or wrong. Once all details are examined, the IC prepares a report that clearly explains what was found and what action is recommended. This report goes to the employer for final decision-making. Everything remains confidential and handled with care. One important thing you should know about the POSH process is that it follows strict timelines. These timelines are designed to protect you from delays and long periods of stress. The first timeline is for the complaint itself. If something happens, you ideally need to report it within 3 months. But don't worry, if the situation was emotionally difficult, the IC can extend this time if you explain why you couldn't report earlier. Once the IC receives your complaint, they start the inquiry. This entire inquiry must be completed within 90 days. During this time, the IC meets both sides, reviews evidence, speaks to witnesses, and prepares their report. After the report is ready, the employer must take action within 10 days. This ensures the case moves quickly and the outcome does not drag on. Finally, the report is kept safely for 3 years. This record helps the organization maintain transparency and future safety. These timelines exist for one main reason: to reduce your worry, protect your dignity, and ensure a fair and timely process. Let's talk about a topic that many people worry about: false allegations. Sometimes employees hesitate to report harassment because they fear people might think they are lying or exaggerating. So it's important to understand how the POSH law looks at this. A false allegation is not a complaint that lacks evidence. It is not a complaint that gets closed without enough proof. And it is not a complaint made by someone who felt generally uncomfortable. A false allegation is only when someone knowingly lies with the intention to harm another person. This is extremely rare. Most people who come forward do so after a lot of hesitation and emotional stress. The law also protects genuine complainants, even if the IC cannot prove everything. So if you ever feel scared of being judged or misunderstood, remember this. Sharing your true experience is never wrong. The IC will listen with respect and your honesty will always be valued. The goal of POSH is to protect, not punish innocent people. When someone reports harassment, one of the biggest concerns they have is, will I be safe during the inquiry? The POSH law understands this fear very well, and that's why it provides something called interim relief, temporary protections that help the complainant feel safe and supported. Interim relief can include several options. For example, the IC may recommend changing your reporting manager if working with them feels uncomfortable. They may suggest moving either you or the respondent to a different team or workspace. If needed, the IC can allow work from home or grant special leave to help you recover emotionally. These steps are not punishments. They are simply measures to reduce stress and prevent any possible pressure or conflict while the inquiry is happening. The goal is to make sure you feel protected, respected, and able to continue your work calmly. Sometimes, when a complaint is not very severe or when the complainant simply wants the issue to stop without any trouble, there is an option called conciliation. Conciliation is a peaceful way of resolving the situation without going into a full inquiry. But remember, this option is completely voluntary. It happens only if the complainant asks for it. The IC will never force or suggest conciliation on their own. In conciliation, the IC brings both sides together in a safe, respectful environment. The goal is not to punish someone, but to help both people understand what went wrong and agree on a solution. This may include a written apology, a commitment to change behavior, or setting clear boundaries for future interactions. One important rule is that conciliation can never involve money or financial compensation. It is simply a way to restore comfort, clarity, and respect. For many people, this method gives closure without conflict. If you ever consider conciliation, the IC will support you, guide you, and make sure you feel safe throughout the process. Let's talk about something closely related to conciliation: settlement. Settlement is another option that can help resolve a complaint without going through the entire inquiry, but it works a little differently. A settlement happens only if both the complainant and the respondent willingly agree to it. There should be no pressure, no force, and no influence from anyone, not the IC, not HR, and not any senior. It must be a mutual decision. So what does a settlement usually include? It can involve a written agreement where both sides clearly understand the expectations going forward. This might include behavior changes, boundaries, communication roles, or corrective steps that prevent the issue from happening again. The IC carefully checks if the settlement is fair and ensures the complainant feels safe and satisfied with the outcome. Once both sides sign the agreement, the inquiry may close, as long as everyone follows what was agreed. The purpose of settlement is simple: to bring closure in a respectful, peaceful manner when both people choose that path. It is not for serious cases, but it can help resolve misunderstandings or less severe situations smoothly. Now let's discuss something very important for fairness: conflict of interest. A conflict of interest happens when an IC member knows one of the people involved too well, or has a close working relationship with them, or may have personal opinions that could affect their judgment. In simple words, it means the member may not be fully neutral. For example, if an IC member is close friends with the complainant or has worked closely with the respondent for many years, they might unintentionally take sides. Even if they try to stay fair, their personal connection can influence how they see the situation. To protect fairness, the POSH law says that any IC member facing a conflict of interest must step out of that particular inquiry. The organization will then bring in another trained member to replace them temporarily. Let's talk about a role that many employees underestimate: the bystander. A bystander is simply someone who sees, hears, or senses that something inappropriate is happening, even if it is not happening to them. And believe it or not, bystanders can make a huge difference. Think about it. When a person faces harassment, They may feel scared, shocked, or unsure of how to react. At that moment, even the smallest support from someone nearby can make them feel safe. Bystander intervention doesn't mean you have to fight, argue, or put yourself at risk. It can be something as simple as stepping in and saying, "Hey, is everything okay here?" or creating a distraction to break the situation. You can also support the person privately afterward by asking, "Do you want to talk about what happened?" If you are not comfortable intervening directly, you can report what you saw to HR or the IC. Your voice may protect someone who is afraid to speak up. Being a bystander means choosing respect over silence. Even a small action from you can prevent a bigger problem. Sometimes the person facing harassment may feel too scared, too stressed, or too shocked to report it themselves. In such cases, you can step forward and help. Reporting harassment on behalf of someone else is completely allowed under the POSH law, and it is often the support that person really needs. Imagine you notice a colleague looking uncomfortable during a conversation, or you hear a comment that clearly crosses the line. Maybe you see inappropriate messages being sent to them. If they prefer not to speak, you can still inform HR or the IC about what you witnessed. Even if you don't have full details, sharing what you observed can help the IC take preventive steps. Your role here is not to judge the situation, but to ensure safety. Many people find courage when they know someone is standing with them. By reporting on behalf of others, you help create a workplace where no one feels alone. Retaliation. Retaliation means punishing or targeting someone because they raised a concern, filed a complaint, or supported someone who did. And the law is very strict about this because no one should feel afraid to speak up. Retaliation can take many forms. It may look like giving someone an unfairly low performance rating, removing them from projects, isolating them from team discussions, spreading rumors, or behaving rudely after they report an incident. Sometimes retaliation can be subtle, like ignoring someone's ideas or delaying their work approvals on purpose. The POSH law clearly states that retaliation is illegal. If the IC notices any sign of retaliation during or after the inquiry, it can take immediate action to protect the complainant or the witness. This helps ensure that people feel safe and confident when they decide to report something wrong. Remember, speaking up is a sign of courage, not conflict, and no one should face consequences for choosing safety and dignity. As we reach the end of this POSH awareness session, I want you to pause for a moment and think about the kind of workplace we all want to be a part of. A place where we feel comfortable being ourselves. A place where we can focus on our work without fear. A place where respect isn't something we teach once a year, but something we practice every single day. The purpose of POSH is not only to prevent harassment. It is to build a culture where everyone feels valued, heard, and safe. A workplace where dignity is non-negotiable, boundaries are understood, and kindness becomes our default behavior. Remember, harassment is not just a legal issue, it deeply affects someone's confidence, mental well-being, and sense of belonging. Even one uncomfortable moment can stay with a person for a long time. This is why awareness matters. This is why your behavior matters. And this is why speaking up matters. If you ever face anything that feels wrong, even slightly, please reach out. There is a dedicated internal committee, trained people, and a full legal system to support and protect you. You are not alone. You will be heard, and your dignity will always come first. But this responsibility is not only for those who experience harassment, it is for each one of us. If you witness something, speak up. If a colleague seems uncomfortable, check on them. If someone needs support, be there for them. Small actions from you can prevent big harm. Let's promise ourselves that we will treat every person with respect, not because the law says so, but because it is the right thing to do. Let's create a workplace where people feel safe to share ideas, safe to grow, safe to be themselves. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your willingness to learn. Together, we can make our workplace safer, stronger, kinder, and more respectful for everyone.